Hey folks, we're going to take advantage of more of this unseasonably warm weather and get some more of our projects and some chores we need to do around the homestead. So come on along, I'd love to have you. And one of the first things I want to do is I want to make some syrup for the bees because they're going to be flying. They're not normally flying this time of season. So we're going to make some for them so they give them a little early spring treat. Syrup for the bees is really easy. Just got 4 cups of water and 4 cups of sugar, just even amounts. And then we're just going to heat this long enough to dissolve the sugar. And then we'll turn it off and let it cool completely. And then we'll take it out to the bees later when they start flying. And they'll find it, and over the next couple of days they'll eat all this up. Now normally I don't get this opportunity till later on in the winter, but since it's going to be warm for a few days, I'm going to go ahead and give them a little jump start because they haven't had any nectar since they went Betty Bye in the fall. So they've got to be hungry by now, so we'll give them a little treat while we can. As soon as the mixture turns clear, we turn the fire off and it's done. We'll set the pot over here on this cold part of the grill, and that'll cool the pot off a little bit quicker. Remember our cheese we made the other day? It's been drying out down in the downstairs fridge. It's lost a lot more moisture. So we're going to go ahead and cut these in half and vacuum seal them. Got our 6 pounds of cheese vacuum sealed. We'll get these downstairs, get them in the freezer. Beautiful day out here. Got a nice cool little breeze. Sun shining. It's really sparse clouds in the sky. It feels so much like spring, but we know it's not. The guy I follow on YouTube is named Ryan Hall. I think his channel is called Ryan Hall Y'all. He's got 2 channels, a regular channel and then like an update channel. He's forecasting probably another blizzard here around the 28th of February. Says it's going to get ugly. Of course, that can change, but I have found that the gentleman is pretty accurate on his forecast. Our fruit trees did really well last year. I'm not going to do much pruning this year. But I do need to come out to the apple trees and top those, and the peach trees. All the rest of the trees I'm going to leave alone. You can see that the garden, it looks like it's just ready to go, just like me, because we put it to bed very nicely. So she's ready for some seeds whenever we can get out here and get them in. We generally start our seeds in the greenhouse right around the 1st of April because our planting out date is right around the 1st of May. Unlike California, where we used to live, they'll be planting out March 1st. Since it's nice and warm out here and we know these drip lines aren't frozen, I want to get the drip system turned on. I want to get a lot of water in the ground below these trees, because it's been as warm as it's been. These trees are going to think it's time to wake up, and if they're pushing sap up into the trees and we get a heavy freeze, it might cause them some problems that possibly even kill a tree after it comes out of dormancy. So having a big mass of water into the ground like that will help the temperature from getting too cold, because having that like 52 degree water down in the ground, it creates kind of a heat mass there and helps them out. Oh, Cat saying good morning. Kelly was home yesterday, so we got quite a bit done with her help. We kind of tag team stuff out here after I got home in the afternoon. We took the Christmas lights down off the house. We just been letting them run. Kelly likes to see them. It's nice to come home at night and see your house all lit up. And then I roped her into trimming some trees. Over here, I'll show you what we did. If you remember, we made this work platform for the front loader on the tractor. So I had to have her home so she could lift me up in that and drive the tractor. Ooh, crazy wind out here on the north end of the shelter belt. And that's why we have a shelter belt. Barely feel it over by the house. But we had limbs here on the property fence that were hanging over from the shelter belt into the neighbor's cornfield. And he couldn't plant here up next to the fence last year. He was probably 20, 30 feet out into the field for the first row. So Kelly and I came down in here with the tractor and I was able to cut a bunch of those limbs out. And then we put the brush crusher on and I carried it all up to the brush pile. But we didn't used to have this road here. It was all overgrown. I cleared it out so we could go around the property. Kelly really enjoys coming around here with her four-wheeler when she's running around out and about. Things are starting to green up here in the spring. Last time you seen this culvert, it was covered in snow. If you remember, we cleaned that out. Saved us from having a big lake out here. You get out here on the south side of the shelter belt, you can't even feel the wind. You can hear it in the trees. But so important to have one of these shelter belts, and we're so fortunate that the family that developed this homestead years ago put this shelter belt in. I have pictures of when they were just planting the trees. I'll share one with you right now. Alright, next thing I need to do is I need to fix this old nest box that we got at Junk Jaunt. Kelly's going to use it for a project. So I've got a broken roosting bar on here, so we need to get that off first. Oh, flathead. Alright, I got it all fixed for Kelly. I'll take and tighten the screws on that bottom roost bar there, and this will be done. Well, folks, it's coming on lunchtime. Let's say we get on out of here, get into town, go get some grub. Well, the food truck we're going to is called On the Hook Fish and Chips. And it's not a food item that you would normally get here in town. So I've had their food before. It's really good. So when they venture into town, I like to go partake. Food trucks are a little different than what we're used to out in California. Most of the time in California, your town will have food trucks, randomly around town. Here, a good food truck will roam into town every now and then. They go to a bunch of different towns and kind of spread it around so everybody can have some. It's kind of neat. If you remember, we went to the Cajun food truck here a while back. We do have a couple taco trucks that stay in town. So let's get down the road. Well, it looks like they got a pretty good turnout here. They're in the Tractor Supply parking lot today. The food trucks that come around randomly, they have taken to parking on private property. They ask the owners they can use their parking lot, because the city's been giving food trucks a lot of grief lately, and they're really cracking down on food trucks being down at the city square, and it's quite a mess dealing with the city with the permitting and all the stuff you got to go through. So these out-of-town food trucks are avoiding that by just getting approval to be on private property, and then the city can't tell them anything. Now, I think a lot of the pressure on the food trucks downtown is coming from the downtown restaurant owners. They're thinking that the food trucks are taking business away from them. I'm of the opinion, if you want to get all the customers, start making better food. This is their menu here. Very simple. Proves if you do a few things and do them well, that's all you got to do. All right, we got our items we ordered, and now we're in line waiting for our food. There's our food. Looks amazing. We're going to give it a try. This is Alaskan cod, French fries. You got some sweet chili sauce, some tartar sauce, ketchup, and some malt vinegar. We're going to dive in. Well, if you're wondering how it was, Kelly asked for me to save her some, and I ended up eating hers. So I had to buy a whole another platter just so she could have some at home later. So super good. You know, you got to be a little nervous about buying fish in the middle of Nebraska, but this stuff tasted super fresh. You can always tell when it's fresh because fish should not taste fishy or smell fishy. It should have a nice clean flavor to it, and this did. Talking to the guy, this stuff is flash frozen on the boat. So peak of freshness, fantastic food. I'm so glad they came to town. Okay, we are back home. First things first, we need to get our syrup out to the bees before we get this party started. I'm going to distribute it over 2 quart jars. It's not going to fill both of them, but there's too much for one. And then that way we could spread the feeders out a little bit. Got out to the barn, got a couple bee feeders. Just have lids on here with little tiny holes in them. And then those jars turn upside down. That fits right in here. Now usually this piece right here will slip into the opening under the front of the hive. But we have our winter box on, so we'll just put this out there on the deck underneath the holes, and they'll find it. A little windy today, so the bees aren't flying as much as they were yesterday. Yesterday they were out in full force. But this will draw them out, so once one of those bees gets in there and finds that syrup, they'll go in the hive, do a little happy dance, telling all the other bees that they found a food source, and then they'll be boiling out of the box to get into here and get some of this syrup. So one of the many chores I need to get done, I need to mount this air hose reel that I bought at Husker Harvest Days. Been meaning to do that for quite some time, but things get put on the back burner. This old rim was left by the previous owner, and it's what we've been using. It's pretty crude, and the hose gets kind of tangled here and stuff. So I'm probably going to take this down and mount our new hose reel maybe up here on this beam. And then I won't quite throw away that yet because I'm going to need a place to put all of these rubber hoses. These have been working, but they get really stiff in the winter and they're hard to work with. Our new hose is kind of fabric coated and much more flexible. That's why we bought it. The old wheel here had a bunch of old mud dauber nests on it, come falling off of it. Had an old square head bolt. Probably been up there a while. So I'm going to pull the hose reel out, see how it mounts. Maybe I'll put it down here a little lower. I'm not sure. We'll see. This thing's just got a bracket on it that this thing slides into, so we just have to mount this bracket to the wall. I'm thinking I'm going to mount this bracket right here because up here, eventually we are going to put roll-up doors here on the shop. And when I put the rails, that might be in the way up there. So We'll do low profile. It'll be right here next to the door to where we can take it outside easily, and it'll be easy to handle here. All right, going to work well in this location. We can swing it out to go outside, and we can swing it in to use inside. So now we have what looks like a 3/8 or whatever it is standard pipe connection. So we got to put some connections on that, and it's going to reach all the way to the air compressor. So I thought we were going to have to use this spiral deal to go up to there, but this is going to go all the way. We're putting on all of our fittings. The fittings don't come with the unit because these aren't standard, and you've got to buy the right ones for your setup. Now we put Teflon tape on all of our fittings because we don't want any leaks. And whenever you put Teflon tape on, there's a right way and a wrong way. You want to hold the male fitting in your left hand and wrap the tape around the fitting the same way that this will tighten onto the fitting. If you were to do it the other way, as you tighten the fitting on, it'll unwrap the tape. So we've wrapped it this way, so you'll see as we spin our fitting on, the tape stays wrapped. Now we got to put our wrench on it. Okay, here we go. Our box is mounted here. The hose was able to reach to the air compressor. They claim that this hose reel has a lot more catches, so you don't have to go too far to get a catch. And then you can see how flexible this hose is. It's like a cloth jacket on a hose. And I don't know what the inner material is, but you could move this thing around in winter and tie it in knots. It's not supposed to kink. That looks pretty kink to me, but we'll see. There's no air pressure in it, so maybe that makes a difference. So let's shoot the air to it. Got everything plugged in, everything's aired up. Doesn't sound like I have any air leaks. Works good. What I like about this reel is it has this follower here that makes sure the hose goes on the reel correctly, and then it winds it back on. Now I think I'm going to store all of my extra air hose, the stuff that we pulled down to put the reel up, back here behind the shelf. It's kind of an open area. It'd be a good place to store them out of the way. I just need to create a hook up here. Alright, got it all hung up. Found some of these hooks in my hardware stash. Put a couple back there, so all of our extra hoses are out of the way. You never know when you're going to need extra hose, because I've needed to go clear out in the driveway one time, or when we were building a chicken coop, we ran extra hoses out there to run all the nail guns. So, nice to have it. Next thing I need to do is get our work platform put back away, and then I need to use the forklift real quick to pick some stuff up. While I have the pallet forks on, I wanted to get a pallet, get these wheel weights up off the dirt, and then we'll put those back where all of our spare parts are that we took off the cubby. Now we need to take our forks off. And then we need to put our bucket back on. So if this so-called blizzard comes, we're ready to push snow if we have to. I wonder if we should roll the compost pile. Nah, we'll do that another day. Got Johnny backed into the barn in case we need to push our way out if we get a mountain of snow. So now we can close our barn up, get back over to the shop. Let's go out and see how the bees are doing with their little treat we gave them. You can see the bees have found the nectar. They're going in and out of there. They're even bringing in some pollen. Did you see that bee there with the saddlebags on? They're getting pollen somewhere early on in the season. There's another bee who went in with saddlebags on. These over here, this feeder's leaking a little bit, so they're just eating a bunch of it off of the deck here. Real active bees, I'm glad. Looks like they overwintered well again. Now we're not going to pull that winter box off for a little bit until the overnight temps get right around freezing, where they're not dipping below, way below. Then we'll take that box off. Well, it's been a long day, folks. We've got the shop buttoned up. We need to head in the house, get cleaned up, and get some dinner going. I need to make me some. Kelly's got fish for dinner, so I'll figure out something for me. I think I got some leftovers. So hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today. I really enjoyed having you guys. Got a lot done. I'm proud of the progress that we got. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at Markelly Farm.